Welcome back, everybody. Tonight I'm going to be sharing with you a formula that I've used over the years, and it is tried and true. It has never not worked. And it's very simple, and the ingredients for it are very accessible because there's a very large list that you can pick from. And I always encourage my students and my friends alike, friends, choose what speaks to you. So I'm going to read off a list to the Golden Sun of the Soul Ritual Oil. It's very simple, it's easy to put together, and the most you're going to have to do is be patient because it takes a little bit of time for all of the herbs to infuse into the oil. So let's get started. Now, as you can see, I do have several ingredients in front of me already, and what I've chosen for me is some cinnamon, I've chosen peppermint, rosemary, some frankincense resin, and then at the back you can't see it super well here, but let's move those aside. I also have coriander, some allspice berries, I have some bay leaf, and then I also have kind of a spendy ingredient, and again, there's a lot of herbs that you can choose to use. This is something that I actually had on hand. It was a gift, and it's saffron, and saffron is extremely expensive. As you can see, I'll show you. It's actually a full-size jar with a little tiny package inside. It's very expensive. It's I believe the stamen of crocus flowers. Yeah, stamen of crocus flowers, and they're picked by hand individually. So it's fairly pricey, and you also have to be very careful that you're getting the real thing. I had this given to me as a gift from a very reputable source, and I've kept it for a long time, not really knowing what I wanted to do with it, and I guess I'm including it in today. So I guess that's why I've hung on to it all this time. Now, this formula, I have written it down so I can read off all of the options that you have, and I'm kind of a new YouTuber here, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to post links yet. If it is possible for me to do so, I will list this entire thing in my description. But having said that, what the choices are pretty extensive. I would say that there's probably at least a dozen. So let me get you set up and we will go over everything together. Okay, so our ingredients for this ritual oil are pretty thorough, and they're very easy to get a hold of. The following is comfrey, mullein, frankincense resin, mugwort, cinnamon bark, let's see, which I also have, coriander seed, bay leaf, and you're going to, if you use the bay leaf, use 3. I always work in 3s. Lemon balm, you can use saffron. If you use the saffron, normally any ingredient you use, you want to use about a tablespoon. It does not have to be exact. Go with your instincts. Go with what you're drawn to. But for my formula, a tablespoon, roughly. And for the saffron, though, as I said, because it's so expensive, you're going to use just like a little baby pinch. And there's peppermint, which I also have here, golden seal powder, calendula flowers, basil, nettle leaf, allspice, rosemary, which I also have, yarrow, and chamomile. All those herbs are associated with the sun. You're harnessing the power of the sun for healing, for motivation, for your personal power, for your health, for your success. And that's what this oil is about, and it can be used. If you use it on your skin and you use cinnamon, please be mindful that that might be an irritant. If you don't use cinnamon, you know, by all means, have fun with it, go crazy. But you can use it on yourself, you can use it on money, you can use it on in areas or candles when you're trying to stay motivated and stay focused if you're trying a new endeavor. This is all about personal success, personal well-being, personal power. Having said that, this is pretty simple stuff from here on out. All you're going to do is start taking your jar here and you're going to start using your ingredients. Now, as I said, about a tablespoon, so for a bottle this size, I'm going to use about half the bottle. If I can get exactly half. Oops, I dropped a piece. I would say just a little bit more. And that's the frankincense resin as it goes flying. I always say that when you're doing a working for yourself or somebody else, when your items or ingredients that you're working with start getting very active and jumping everywhere, it means the energy is good. So I'm not being exact by this. I'm just pouring out, again, about a tablespoon. And we're going to set that aside. This is my peppermint. And this is homegrown peppermint from last year. And for the cinnamon, because obviously it's cinnamon bark, so, you know, it's not, we're just going to shake some out the best we can to about the ratio of a tablespoon. Okay, that's about a tablespoon. So we're going to pop that in the jar there. And now that those are out of the way, I'm just going to start working my way down with the coriander seed. And coriander, by the way, is what you get cilantro from. When you plant coriander seed, it will grow into cilantro. There's about a tablespoon there. And our allspice berries. It's about a tablespoon there. And the other thing I wanted to mention too, as we're working through here, we'll save the saffron for last. I do generally work in threes. However, what I cannot stress enough is that when you are called, when you feel that calling inside of you that says, I want to use 8 or 6 or 9 or, 12, do your thing. You need to respond to what you're feeling. Don't just put, here's one. Don't just put in 3 because somebody said you can only put in 3, period. That's not true. You put in what you feel is right for you. And nothing is going to go wrong. Now, let's see if I can get just a little tiny pinch of this stuff out. Ooh. So you can see there's not much in that bag. And this was a $50 bottle. So I think rather than getting my fingers all over it, I'm going to try and just use a nail and scooch a little bit out. There we go. I did it. Without too much damage. We're just going to pop it back in the bottle. And we're going to scoot our ingredients out of the way. Now we have our bottle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to top this with a carrier oil. Do not ever use a cheap oil, like a vegetable oil. Even be careful if you're using olive oils. Be sure that where you're getting them from is good quality, a reputable source. There has been a great deal of talk recently about how people are putting the terms extra virgin olive oil on oils that are anything but. So please be mindful and be careful of what kind of oils you're using. I use sweet almond oil, coconut oil, as long as it doesn't solidify. So be mindful of that kind of thing. Vitamin E oil is also very good, except it can be rather expensive. I rather use vitamin E oil in a base oil like this that we've created for this purpose, because vitamin E oil acts as a wonderful preservative. It's a natural preservative. So it will just increase your shelf life all that much more. So now that we have all of our ingredients, I'm going to go ahead and grab my carrier oil. And as I said, sweet almond oil. And you can get these kinds of things on Amazon very easily. And all I'm going to do is make a mess. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that about half. And I'm just going to leave it there. Yes, I've made a mess. It's fine. We're in the apothecary together. It's okay to make messes. It's kind of what we're all about, I think. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside, probably on a paper towel. There we go. Now, I didn't fill this all the way up. It's about a little over half. And I'm going to cap it, and I'm just going to shake and just kind of spin it. You don't have to be violent with it. Just incorporate everything together. Now, let's talk about ritual. A ritual is what you put into it, what you feel it needs. Yes, you can follow other people's rituals, but you don't have to. A ritual can be as simple or as complex as you choose to make it. It's from the soul. It's from your spirit and your heart. That's the way I view a ritual. So for this, because it is designed to harness the power of the sun, this is what I would instruct for you to do is once a day, take this outside in the sun. It does not have to be consecutive days. It doesn't have to be for a very long time. It doesn't have to be at a certain time. Just once a day for 3 days. This is the way I do it. You may want to do 6. You may want to do just 1. You may want to do 30. I don't know. It's up to you. But take it out into the natural sunlight and hold it in your hands. And let the sunlight touch this and charge that oil, charge those herbs, encourage those herbs to let go of their properties into this oil. Harness the energy from the sun and let that energy invigorate and activate this oil. Now, after those 3 moments of time in the sun, and it can be anywhere from a minute to 30 minutes, whatever you feel like. But the most important thing after that you need to do is simply keep it in a dark, cool place. Just like when you're making tinctures, just like when you're making any other herbal infused oils. In that case, after that charging of sunlight, again, you don't need to go very long because the longer in the light, it'll start degrading. So after that though, you're going to put this in a cool, dark place and keep it out of light so that it can continue the process of those herbs imbuing that oil. And again, once a day, you'll just give it a little swishy swish to keep things moving and grooving and happy. And then that's it. Now, once it's done, I'm going to tell you what I do with my oils, with my tinctures. I generally store them and let them sit anywhere between 4 to 6, sometimes 8 weeks. I know. Remember at the beginning of this, I told you that the hardest thing you were going to be facing was patience. This is what you need to do. The longer it sits, the stronger it gets. Okay? So after that time, you choose you. What do I want? What do you want out of it? Do you need just a middle of the road time period? Do you want to go extra long and go the full 8 weeks? You don't need to go beyond 8 weeks, I'll tell you that. Generally, I do 4 to 6. It just seems like at the 4 to 6 week mark is a good area to hit for your target for strength and effectiveness. Okay? Once this is done, you're going to take and sieve this. You want to pour it either through a cheesecloth, even a cloth tea bag, and get all of that oil out. Now, what I tend to use are fine mesh sieves. You see them all the time on Amazon. Matter of fact, that's where I got mine. And they are just on a handle, and you can pour your oil through that into a clean container. You can use another jar like this, but it's best to store it in amber or dark glass of some kind. Generally, at this point, once you decant this, you want to put it into a bottle with a dropper. And then you can store it long-term, label it, date it, so you know when it was complete. And you also want to date this as it sits so you know when you start it. So after you strain it, and if you're using a cloth or even a mesh strainer, be sure and press with another cloth or the back of a spoon to really get all of the oil out, because this is a big endeavor you've done. You've put a lot of investment into this. So take the time to get every last bit of oil out that you can, decant it. Definitely use something that you can access it easily. That's why I said an amber bottle with a dropper on it. And label it, date it, and you can use it for whatever you want. And you can also decant it into several different smaller bottles if you choose to do so. So that's about it. You don't have to do anything fancy. When you're imbuing your oil, I would like to make a note to say that before you begin the process of, or even during, really, yeah, during the process of, after you have filled this, like I would take this right now and I would sit with it and I would clear my mind and, take several deep breaths and relax my thoughts and just kind of let things go. And I would spend a few moments or several minutes and think about what this oil means to me. It's for empowerment. It's for personal well-being and strength and courage. It's to help heal. It's to make me that much more successful in both my own life and in helping others. It's that kind of space, that kind of energy, and I want that in this. So I will take some time. I may perhaps meditate and speak with my deity of choice, or say a prayer, or just simply meditate. You pick what's right for you. But this will work for anybody. It does not rely specifically on a religion, a path. It'll work for anybody. So blessings to you, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this. And as I said, if I'm allowed to, I'm not sure, I will have to do some more research. If I can list this in my description, I will do so. If not, at some point, I will make that available to you. So thank you everyone for joining me. I really enjoyed, as always, having you around. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment. I will answer them, absolutely. And I love you guys. Take care. Take care of you, and I'll see you next time.